The year is 1945. Across Europe and Asia, the industrial foundations of the world lie in ruins. Factories, critical supply lines, and extensive power grids have been systematically reduced to heavy ash and twisted metal. Across the Atlantic, the American mainland remained completely untouched. While the rest of the globe faced total reconstruction, U.S. manufacturing capacity surged, turning out steel, ships, and machinery at a volume no other country could match. To govern this lopsided reality, Allied nations gathered in 1944 to construct a new financial architecture, the Bretton Woods system. This agreement locked the global economy to the U.S. dollar, ensuring every international transaction passed through an American bank. This was termed an exorbitant privilege. American influence expanded into the global ledger, making the dollar the mandatory medium of exchange. Engineering such an absolute, unshared advantage created a specific psychological effect in Washington. For the United States, sitting at the center of the world's ledger fostered a sense of permanent security. Because the U.S. dollar serves as the primary global reserve currency, the American government possesses a unique macroeconomic loophole. When the United States runs international deficits, it can settle its debts by issuing more of its own currency. No other nation possesses this mathematical capability. If any other country attempted to print away its international obligations, their currency would face immediate devaluation. Relying on this unique solvency allowed Washington to bypass standard economic constraints. For decades, the government financed its operations through currency issuance, rather than relying strictly on tax revenue or domestic production. This chart shows the direct result of that reliance. As the government leaned into its privilege, the national debt began an exponential climb, eventually spiking to a total that now exceeds $34 trillion. What began as a tool for global liquidity transformed into a mechanism for the United States to inflate its domestic standard of living on a foundation of endless credit. Printing money is only one half of this financial structure. The other is a messaging network known as SWIFT. SWIFT is the mandatory communication grid for the international banking system. For any cross-border financial transfer to clear, the transaction data must move through these specific digital pathways. Over the past 2 decades, the United States began using SWIFT access as a diplomatic lever. By targeting non-compliant nations, Washington can effectively sever them from the network, blocking their ability to trade or access their own foreign reserves. Severing a country's economic lifeline redefines the dollar's role in the global market. Foreign capitals now view the currency as a geopolitical switch that Washington can flip at any moment. By legitimizing the primary lever of global commerce, the United States incentivized its rivals to act. When trapped inside a hostile financial architecture, international actors seek to engineer an immediate escape route. The American experience illustrates a specific law of political physics. A protracted, unfair systemic disadvantage creates a potent internal pressure. Eventually, that pressure seeks a way to wriggle out. Today, that escape is being organized by a coalition of rising economies, the BRICS nations: Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. Their calculated countermeasure to the weaponized American monopoly is a process known as de-dollarization. To bypass the U.S. financial grid, these nations are aggressively diversifying their central bank reserves. They are stocking up on gold and executing bilateral trade agreements settled in their own local currencies, building a web of alternative pathways that operate independently of Washington. As this alternative architecture scales, the United States loses its primary lever of geopolitical influence. The unipolar moment is giving way to a system where American dictates no longer carry the force of financial law. Without captive international buyers to absorb American inflation, the $34 trillion debt exerts a new kind of pressure. In this decentralized landscape, that mountain of credit acts as a structural anchor, dragging on the nation's capacity for growth. Global advantage is not a static trophy, it is a dynamic responsibility. By using its monopoly to punish rather than include, the United States engineered the conditions for its own financial containment. The math is now resetting for a multipolar world.